Thank you, Victoria, for that. That was really useful. Well, hi everyone. My name is Samantha YAP, and I am the founder and CEO of YAP Global. We are hello, Dean, Ashley, nice to see you guys. Threw me off a little bit. We're the PR partners of ETHDenver. I'm really happy to be speaking to you today about Founder Mode Comms. So this talk is for founders, CMOs, marketers, and any comms people that's supporting their founding teams. Hi, welcome, James. Hello. I'm so happy. Anyway, let me start. But before I begin, I just want to share that we have a copy of the Yapper Times. We have our booth around the corner, so do pick one up. And you've probably seen this hat, the Yapper hat. But let me begin. So, just to begin, what gives me the authority to tell you about Founder Mode Comms? Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, while I've been the founder of YAP Global for the last 7 years, I've helped multiple crypto founders and teams tell their stories for a good part of 7+ years. I used to be a journalist before I started YAP Global. I actually used to be a journalist and producer. So I used to have to coach and help CEOs, ministers, academics be comfortable in front of camera. So that's where my skills come from. We run a weekly newsletter that keeps on top of the narratives and trends in the space. And I host a podcast called YAPcast, and we do a series on the future of the story of money, because that's really what has interested me about crypto and Web3. Now, a little bit more about my team. This is my team. We are now a global team of around 30 people based in New York, London, Singapore, and in South Africa. And essentially what we do is we tell stories and build trust. And you'll probably see some of my amazing team running around in the media lounge, as well as standing at our booth just around the corner. So do pop by, say hello. All right, so let's set the stage for 2025. Now, I know currently as we speak, the market is a bit bearish, and volatility is guaranteed in our industry. But the year started out really optimistic and really strong. What we saw is crypto optimism with Trump coming into office and regulatory clarity coming in for crypto. We also are seeing the DeFi renaissance. We're seeing institutions pay attention to what's happening in DeFi, but we're also seeing founders come back and step into the limelight and leading from the front. I think late 2024, we started to see founders, they were coming back and not laying off out of a position of weakness, but laying off staff to refine their team and strengthen for growth in the next bull market. So this is the stage right now. And so my call today is for founders to lead their vision from the front. And I'm going to take my own advice, and actually Victoria was talking about 3 key messages. And so for this talk, I have 3 key points that I think your founder should do and should take note of when it comes to comms. So firstly, founders should be informing their community about what they're doing. Now I have 3 examples here of founders that are doing a great job of that. So we've got Jesse Polak from Base, and he's doing it in a creative way where he's got a social media team behind him, posting TikToks and Instagram Reels, and that's really gaining attention for him and for Base as well. And you're seeing it's him walking around trying to onboard people on the street. So that's one example of a founder informing their community about what they're doing. You've got Vitalik, of course. We value and appreciate what Vitalik has done for Ethereum, and he's continuing to drive it through his blogs. And then I put a more mainstream example here, but Elon Musk, he is the example of a founder really taking to X for his multiple companies. Anytime you hear about Tesla or about Grok AI, he's pushing a statement about it directly on his X. So that's an example of a founder informing the community. But let me give you more of a framework. So this is a 3-step framework of how founders should inform. So step 1 I encourage founders to pick their news value, depending on what they're announcing. Step 2, to build their narrative arc. And step 3, to choose their medium that they're making an announcement on. So let's go through the 7 news values. This is Journalism 101, but this is about going back to the basics. So it's, with a story, you could use a combination of this or hone in on one. But I like to refer our clients to, thinking about what makes greater impact, the timeliness of a story. Now, this is really important in crypto because price movements do change the sentiment very quickly, and it's very timely. Prominence, so any key influential figure, whether they're a celebrity or whether they're a high net worth individual, they make news. Conflict, the media love that. Trend, what's trending, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. What's bizarre, and human interest stories. Now, then step 2 is to pick your narrative arc. And I pulled this up, and this is data, shout out to Kaito AI. I pulled data on 2 charts. First pie chart is on narrative mindshare, and then the second is on token mindshare. So it's really important to strike the right balance between what narrative you want to ride and what's gaining mindshare in the industry. So it's no surprise that AI is taking a lot of mindshare right now. But if you're a scalable solution on Ethereum and you're doubling down on the tech, if it doesn't make sense to talk about AI, you might want to consider whether you want to work that into the narrative that you want to ride. So you've got to strike the right balance. And especially in crypto, we need to think a lot about, just what even the adoption of the chain that you're on. So I pulled these 2 charts because it's kind of a balancing act between what narrative you ride and what is dominating mindshare at the moment. My advice to teams that are building in the space is to, consider, really be strategic in what narrative you want to ride, and remember that trends fade, and so you want to be sustainable, and you don't want to just jump on the next hype. So think a lot about that when you're positioning your founder and your team. And then lastly, the 3rd step is to pick your medium. So in media, we look at these 4 different mediums. There's print and online, so that's in the form of, doing an interview and the commentary comes verbatim. And so sometimes this throws teams off because the tone of voice is doesn't come across on paper. And so in PR, we talk a lot about media-ready commentary. So think a lot about how you respond in a print and online interview. Then there's TV and video. So if you get on CNBC or Bloomberg, the segments are very short. They're around 2 to 5 minutes. So you really need to be concise and get your message across in a short amount of time. So you got to consider that. Podcasts, you get a little bit more grace with them because they go for 45 minutes to an hour. You have a little bit more time to explain what you want to do. And then there's conferences, which here we are at ETHDenver, and I'm sure a few of your spokespeople and maybe yourselves are speaking on stage too. So thinking about how you come across on stage. And then of course the social medium. So for the marketers in the room and for people who are familiar, each social medium has a different style and a different approach. On X, you can see that a lot of people spend time on X, and now they're pushing articles and threads. So think about what message you want to get across on X. LinkedIn, a little bit more professional. This is where if you're trying to grow a team and you're hiring, people still go to LinkedIn to look for their jobs. So think about how you want to come across to prospective hires that you want to make. And also maybe more the traditional financial world or institutions or enterprises, they still live on LinkedIn. So think about how you want to be perceived on that platform. And then Instagram. I think more crypto companies should get on Instagram and or TikTok and think about the reels. I know we're in the US right now, but I think TikTok's still around for now. And then blog posts. So, Vitalik uses his blog to share more about what he's really thinking. So blogs, you can really own the content on your blog. And then think about how you distribute it. Now, the second thing that I think founders should do is to inspire. So why should founders inspire? Well, number one, it's a good way to articulate your vision. It's a good way to pioneer narratives. I put Ilya from near there because he's pioneering the blockchain for AI narrative, and I think they're doing a brilliant job doing that. And then establish trust. And you can see with Vitalik still being a clear leader for Ethereum, I think we all put a lot of trust in how he's leading the entire ecosystem with his thinking and with his blog posts. Of course, Ethereum's still decentralized, but I think we appreciate that there's a clear leader setting the tone from the front. So inspiring. And I like to bring this communications model up because I think we don't think enough about it, but actually Dr. Albert Mehrabian's communication rule is very important. 7% of your message actually comes from your spoken word, 38% comes from your tone of voice, and 55% comes your body language. So a quick example is, if I'm smiling here and I'm telling you that I'm sad, you won't believe that I'm sad because I'm smiling, right? So your body language matters, especially when you're inspiring and communicating your message. And then lastly, influence. I've put CZ here because it's an example of how founders really are the cornerstone of the brand identity, and also they should be the chief storytellers of their company. Now, CZ, he has stepped back from Binance. He had to do some time. He's now back, but he's not involved with Binance directly. There's a new CEO. However, he's still so influential that whenever he tweets or posts something, people associate that with Binance. And so this is just an example of a founder that has been quite instrumental and influential in our industry, and we still link it to Binance. So this is the power of a founder, a very vocal founder. And then lastly, behind all these founders, on top of influencing from the top, this is a structure where I know for most projects and startups that are raising, this is the goal. I know you might not be there yet, but this is the structure that I encourage. For example, if you were like a Coinbase or you were Binance, this is what you should have. So you should have a head of PR and comms, so that could be your chief communications officer, and then a CMO, which is the head of marketing. And then beneath the PR and comms, then you have your regional PR leads. So if you want to, tackle the world, I know I'm running out of time, but think about your regional leads. And then you work with a PR agency. And then likewise with marketing, there's an event manager, social media, and then a marketing agency. So just to summarize my 3 key points, what's in this year's Founder Mode Comms? You need to inform, inspire, and influence. Thank you so much.